Some of you who have been with my channel for a while might remember my video exposing Candace Owens. Well, this weekend, and that was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago when I did that. Well, this weekend, TPUSA again completely exposed themselves as being absolutely hypocritical. Like, no matter what your feelings are about the person, or I'm going to go into it, but I'm just going to show you the hypocrisy and show you how they are absolutely infiltrated. They are a fraud group to keep people in this left-right paradigm of the same status quo. You see what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so Candace Owens and Liz Wheeler made this huge deal about Brandy Love showing up at the TPUSA thing. I mean, she bought her own ticket for $500 and went. This is her on the right. She showed up in a sweater dress. Liz Wheeler over here dressed in skimpy attire as well. This was at the one from last year or maybe the year before that Liz was at. But the hypocrisy is quite glaring, especially when you see what they supposedly stand for. They stand for, and another thing is they're trying to say, oh, Christian values and all this stuff. Well, you know, you're wearing all this makeup, this jewelry and everything. Then you've got people from the military industrial complex talking at featured speakers. I mean, Brandy literally was in the adult, they have an adult bar, and that's where she was. So anyway, these are the packs that TPUSA sends out to students to hand out at their colleges and stuff. I love capitalism. Big government sucks. Socialism sucks. Okay, well, isn't Brandy a business owner? I believe she owns like 2 businesses. You might not like her business, but if you support capitalism and don't want big business, how are you going to say that doing something legal is wrong? I mean, Charlie Kirk and Candace are just complete, and Liz as well. I mean, they're trying to sell this Freedom phone now. It's astonishing. It's a phone from China that likely is already filled with the CIA material. For those who don't remember, Candace made a doxing website just a few years ago, before she was supposedly a conservative, right? She made this doxing website where she wanted to dox children and adults and essentially cancel culture. Isn't that funny? Because that's exactly what's going on right now, yet she has a check mark, and people that are true conservatives that haven't been compromised, like, and this is just so bizarre how they're acting like they have the moral high ground here when their speakers include people from the military industrial complex, people that have literally been on the cover of Playboy magazine. I'm not judging any of these people. I'm showing you this glaring, weird hypocrisy that they have. I mean, and they all are Trump supporters. He has many friends that are in that industry. Ivanka was on the runway when she was like 15, like very young. Kimberly Guilfoyle is one of the speakers. Sean Hannity left his wife for this woman. They're trying to pretend that they want to have this traditional conservative, family values oriented situation. Well, why are they letting so many divorced people there? Do you see how silly like that would be if you went to that extreme? We're all fallen. We're all doing things that we shouldn't, or especially hypocrisy. Hypocrisy, that was one of the things that, see, if they're going to use the things that Jesus said, then you're really going to have to look at your hypocrisy, because that was the biggest thing, where he would call out the Pharisees and the Sadducees for their just blatant, like, pretending they were better than others and stoning people because of this one sin, whereas they have the same sin. I mean, if you're going to have that type of standard for a political a political meeting, you're going to be screwed. Honestly, a political event. You can't go around handing out "I love capitalism" stickers and buttons and "we hate big government" when at the same time you want to regulate, even to the extent of who comes to your event. It's one thing to have a standard for, like, who's going to represent your brand and who is going to be a speaker, but who is going to show up at your event? I mean, that's like what they're wanting to do with the vaccinated and unvaccinated. Oh, if you don't agree with this, then you can't come into our event. Okay, now I want to talk about this from a Christian perspective, aside from their glaring hypocrisy. I didn't even know who she was. So I did a lot of research about her. Brandy is who I'm speaking about. And it's quite heartbreaking what occurred. The reason that she got into the business was because her husband had a heart attack because he was working so much and this and that. But when they tried to go to church, the church kicked them out. And this was a very, what we would consider a very liberal church. They allowed homosexuals in this church, but they would not allow her and her husband at the church. I mean, that is quite diabolical. How are you going to evangelize people if you think that they need to be wholly clean before they walk in the door, or up to your standard, or whatever that may be? And so now, from what I understand, I've never talked to her personally, but it's like now she kind of is into a more universalist church. One of the, like, the Buddhist, Hindu, kind of across the board type goddess type thing. I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe it's changed since then, but I understand where she would come from. And there's other porn stars that have been, not even stars, people that just have, made mistakes in their lives and things like that, and did a video or whatever the case may be, and they're treated like this by the church. You don't go to a doctor because you are sick. You go to a doctor because you need to get well. Yet some of these churches and some of these self-proclaiming Christians believe that you need to be completely well before you even join our congregation or be in the same room. It's very sad. I might do a video on her entire story. I might try to contact her and see if she'll speak about it. But do you blame her? I mean, if you were treated like that, I mean, she grew up in a Christian household, and all this, and then things happened. I'm not going to go into all of it right now, but they literally let homosexuals in the building, let them go to the church, and wouldn't even allow her there. And nobody even really knew who she was. I mean, when that happened, that was before like big internet. Like I think it happened maybe in 2006 or something. It's sad. It's sad, and honestly, this is exactly what turns people even more away. Because it's like, yep, well, that's exactly. And I'm not saying that someone that's homosexual should not be able to attend church. That's not what I'm saying. I'm showing that there is some weird hierarchy of sins in so many people's minds, especially in the Americanized version of concert church, where it's all show and you're not actually doing what the word is saying. Now, granted, I don't like how any of the situation was handled. I think there is something more going on, but they're going after Christians as if this was some type of Christian get together. Like if it was a Christian summer camp or something, which it wasn't. If you want to be a Christian socialist or something, well, then at least name your party that. Like, don't say that you're conservative and Republican. You see what I'm saying? Like, the hypocrisy is just absolutely astonishing. But, that's pretty much what we have now. We have controlled groups on both sides, and they're the ones that get the voices. That's why they still have blue check marks on Twitter, where most of us can't even post on there. And this was not the first time TPUSA has done this. They have kicked out guys that just because they didn't like they were too conservative. Apparently, I don't know. People who have actually been on the ground fighting some of these things that are coming into our schools and stuff like that, they have been kicked out of TPUSA get-togethers. So these people are frauds. It's just plain and simple. It's kind of how, unfortunately, almost all of it is run now. And they're going to continue to pretend that they're not. It's unfortunate. It truly is. That's the state of our nation, though. And that's why we need to always focus on local and state elections. DC is not relevant, especially now. It just isn't. So, anyway, if you'd like to help support my channel, my links will be down in the description because, as you know, my channel is demonetized for having the wrong views on things. So, anyway, y'all have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.